Now, the Wits Centre for Deaf Studies is hosting its Deaf Art and Film Festival from March the 24th to the 29th, showcasing deaf culture and South African Sign Language through film, art and community event. Now, the festival will showcase a short film produced by the youth as part of an internship program. The centre introduced the first professional program for teachers of the deaf in the early 2000s. For more on this, we're joined by Professor Claudine Storbeck, Director at the Centre for Deaf Studies. Prof, a very good morning. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Piwe.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure. Let's talk about the growth at the Wits Centre for the Deaf Studies. It's been 27 years, I understand. Take us through the strides.
Yes, 27 years ago, Wits was the only university that was willing to take on deafness and sign language. They were the third university I asked if we could get involved, and brave at the time when no deaf people were involved in any leadership, and sign language was an unknown, so groundbreaking from the start.
And I suppose we've made, as a country, so many strides. I mean, the fact that sign language has since been made an official language in South Africa. In as much as we are celebrating those gains, what are some of the challenges that still remain that need to be tackled?
You know, it's been signed in the 18th Amendment Bill, but it hasn't been enacted yet. So if a deaf person goes to a police station today with a crime, there still isn't an interpreter available. And there's still things that are not being enacted despite the fact that it's official. And so some of those things are going to be addressed in the irony of our amazing film that we'll be presenting on Friday.
Take us through this film. I mean,
Sure.
what is it about? What is the theme? And what is the inspiration behind that film?
So we started 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Funding is from Lotto, and we trained 15 deaf interns in film from scratch. These young people had never touched a camera before. They had never done anything. And so it's been 6 months of learning how to do film. And from, you know, literally what is a script, what is a director, what is a producer. And on Friday night at the film festival, we'll be presenting some of the works that they've created over the 6 months. But the main one is the film. I'm not going to give the title, but I can tell you it's going to be ironic. It's going to be a play on deaf culture, sign language, and this current state of affairs after President Cyril Ramaphosa signed the bill into being official language, and yet, are we really equal?
Yeah, it begs the question, are we really equal? Because when you say that you are now teaching some of the learners about, you know, the whole film industry, and how much of their input has been seen, or I mean, in the making of this particular film?
Yeah, it's been remarkable to see. And of course, the leader of the training is deaf himself. Nino is a film producer himself. And so it's been run by the deaf for the deaf. And then in addition to the films that we'll be presenting on Friday night, we also have art and entertainment. And so it's various aspects of deaf culture that we'll be celebrating, but 100% the voice of the deaf, messages of the deaf, and deaf actors, deaf producers, deaf editors, the whole spiel.
And then how was the Deaf Arts Film Festival conceptualized then?
Okay, and so what we wanted to do, we wanted to celebrate, because everyone in South Africa knows about sign language now, but we wanted to say that deaf people are more than just sign language, and that they can create art in all genres of art, from painting, drawing, pastels, statues, entertainment like poetry, dance. There's a thing called the visual vernacular, which is a very unique part of deaf entertainment. And then, of course, film. And, you know, they are, some of them, just deaf filmmakers. So there's romance, documentary, stuff that are just unrelated to deafness because they're filmmakers. And then inside there are also specific aspects of deaf culture that they're wanting to play on. And then you get to experience deaf humour through deaf eyes.
Wow. And I know that previously you included the Korean culture at this festival. So which culture are you including this year?
This year it's pure South Africa. That is going to be our primary. But we have people that have applied to show their films from Namibia. We've got an Egyptian film that people want to show. And we'll also be showing films that were made by deaf young children in South Africa a couple of years ago that was aired in Manchester. South African slant this time mainly.
And with the movies, any plans to get them on mainstream platforms for the masses to watch?
Yes, we definitely have invited some key people to Friday's film festival, and there have been rumblings of a film festival in Egypt already that may be interested in what we're doing. But definitely an introduction to what we do for the general public, but then to open doors for these young people who, after 6 months, they're ready now to step into other bigger things as they become their own individual filmmakers and storytellers.
And I suppose this concept and the festival underscores the vibrancy of the deaf community culture. But and I know that in every in every film there's music involved.
Yes.
There's a musical element involved. But with music, is it getting easier to hearing and uniting deaf people? Like, how does it work?
Very interesting question. For the sound aspect, that's the biggest challenge. How do you do that without any hearing people involved? And so that has been a very big challenge. But deaf people in general love music. They love the beat. They use the visuals on the screen to teach them about where and how loud. But you always need a hearing visual sound mixer to come in and kind of help. And then a lot of overlays of voiceovers, because you're bringing in historical aspects of the history of sign language over the years. So that is one of our biggest challenges and one thing that we can't do alone. And so it's kind of bringing, deaf people, hearing people coming together, joining hands. But if you want to be involved in the deaf world, hearing people are going to have to learn sign language. And so the people that are involved are signers to make sure that everything is totally accessible.
And for someone wondering why they should attend the festival, why would you say it's worth attending?
Oh, life-changing. Life-changing.
I can imagine.
Movie Under the Stars on Friday night. And you're going to be introduced to amazing deaf people who are just successful, gorgeous people who happen to be deaf. Because we have this vision of deaf people and what they do and what they don't do. And you're going to see deaf art. So we're going to have 13 deaf artists displaying their art in our living art gallery on campus.
But just how inclusive would it be? I mean, I'm quite curious to know, for those from the non-deaf community attending this particular festival, would they be accommodated? This
is a deep dive into the deaf community, but we will have floating sign language interpreters everywhere. So you will feel included everywhere you go. But if you can, rely on yourself and not call an interpreter to communicate with a deaf person. Just be brave, be visual, and don't be scared of making mistakes. Kind of just, hello, how are you? But it's going to be very inclusive. Sign language interpreters everywhere available. Do not be scared.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, we've come a long way as a country, eh?
We have.
Please share more details.
So, of course, everything will be on the website. We'll be starting on Monday with training deaf blind interpreters, because we want deaf blind people to experience deaf art.
Yes.
And imagine you're in a box, dark and quiet. And so we'll have interpreters, deaf blind people, introducing them to the deaf art through their fingers, introducing them to the films through tactile sign language. We'll be introducing schools who will be visiting on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then old people will be coming in on Thursday.
All right. Prof, great chatting to you. Hey?
Thank you so much
for your time. Well, the Wits Centre for Deaf Studies will host its Deaf Art and Film Festival to celebrate the unique contributions of deaf artists and promote greater inclusion and accessibility in the arts.